Daniel never imagined his life would collapse in a single day. He had been falsely accused, disowned, and betrayed by the people he loved most, his own family. Now, 5 years later, the truth had finally come out, but the scars it left behind still ran deep. Back then, he was 27, living in a small town where everyone knew everyone's business. The kind of place where rumors didn't just spread, they multiplied. Daniel grew up side by side with his cousin Ryan. They were more like brothers than cousins. They spent holidays together, shared bunk beds on family trips, and played the same sports. Ryan was set to marry Lily, the girl who had grown up 3 houses down the street. Their families had always been close. Lily's parents often watched over Daniel and Ryan when their parents were busy. She was like Daniel's little sister, the one who used to borrow his comic books and ask him embarrassing questions about boys. So when Ryan and Lily started dating in college, it felt like something everyone had been waiting for. Their wedding day came on a bright Saturday in June 2019. Daniel was one of Ryan's groomsmen, dressed in a navy suit that cost him more than a month's rent. The ceremony was at a lovely garden venue just outside town. Everything looked perfect. The music, the guests, the laughter. Daniel spent the morning helping guests find their seats, fixing decorations, and making sure Ryan stayed calm. He was genuinely happy for his cousin. While helping an elderly couple find the restroom, he suddenly heard shouting behind him. Before he could turn, a heavy fist slammed into his face. He stumbled, stunned by the pain. Ryan was charging at him, screaming like a man possessed. "How could you, Daniel? I trusted you," Ryan yelled, swinging again and again. Daniel barely had time to protect himself. Confused and bleeding, he kept asking, "What's going on? What did I do?" But Ryan didn't stop until others dragged him away. Daniel stood there, dazed, blood dripping down his chin, his expensive suit ruined. The guests were horrified. The old woman he'd been helping began to cry. The venue manager rushed to call for help. Daniel refused to let anyone call the police. "He's my cousin," he muttered weakly. He must have misunderstood something. He ended up at urgent care, his face swollen and bruised, his lips split. The nurse kept asking if he wanted to press charges. "No," he said. "It's family." She wrapped his wounds, gave him an ice pack, and told him to rest. But then his phone buzzed. A text from his father appeared. "The wedding's canceled. Clear your things from the garage tonight." Daniel froze. That one message hit harder than Ryan's punches. Something was terribly wrong. He called his father, no answer. His mother, no answer. His brother hung up on him after saying, "How could you do this to us?" Daniel sat there, speechless, his swollen eye throbbing. Still limping from the fight, Daniel drove to his parents' house. Every window glowed with light. His brother's truck and sister's car were in the driveway. He walked in through the garage like he'd done 100 times before. But the moment he stepped into the kitchen, silence fell. His mother's eyes widened when she saw his battered face. "Oh my God, what did Ryan do to you?" she gasped then. Instantly, her expression hardened. "But how could you, Daniel? How could you betray your family?" The words made no sense. "What are you talking about?" he asked. His father looked away, shaking his head. "Don't lie," he said coldly. "We know everything. About you and Lily." Daniel blinked, confused. "What? Lily? She's like my sister." But they didn't believe him. His brother threw a duffel bag at his feet. "Get your stuff and get out." His mother turned away as he pleaded, "At least tell me what's going on." That night, Daniel learned what everyone supposedly knew. Someone had spread a story that he and Lily were having an affair. The idea was so absurd that he laughed, which only made things worse. "You think this is funny?" his father shouted. "You ruined your cousin's life." His mother cried into her hands. His sister sat silently, refusing to meet his eyes. "Do you even have proof?" Daniel demanded. "Show me something, anything." His father's voice trembled with disappointment. "We don't need proof. We just know." That sentence broke something inside him. These were the people who had raised him, who taught him honesty, who trusted him with everything, and now they believed a rumor without question. Daniel left without taking the bag his brother had thrown. He drove aimlessly through town until the lights blurred. Eventually, he ended up at Murphy's bar, where the bartender, an old friend, looked at him and said quietly, "Rough night, huh?" Daniel only nodded. Within hours, the story had spread across town. Daniel was the guy who slept with his cousin's fiancée. He couldn't go anywhere without feeling the stares. His favorite coffee shop refused to serve him. Even the manager at his gym told him his membership was under review. Every part of his life was suddenly poisoned by gossip. He tried calling Lily, but she didn't answer. Her parents threatened to call the police if he ever contacted her again. "You're sick," her father shouted before hanging up. Daniel sat in his apartment with a frozen bag of peas pressed to his face, trying to understand how his life had exploded in a single day. His phone buzzed nonstop, texts from family, friends, relatives, even coworkers. Some said, "I always suspected something." Others sent insults. By midnight, he turned his phone off and sat in silence. The city outside felt colder than ever. Days turned into weeks. Daniel's job became unbearable. His boss called him in after hearing rumors about inappropriate conduct. He tried to explain, but no one really listened. Even people who had known him for years acted distant. His once friendly coworkers whispered whenever he passed. The hardest part was the isolation. He had no family, no support, and no one willing to hear his side. Then, finally, Lily called. The moment he heard her voice, he almost cried. But instead of comfort, she was furious. "You ruined everything, Daniel. Do you have any idea what my life looks like now?" He shouted back, "You think I did this? I lost everything too." There was a long silence, then soft sobbing. Slowly, between tears, they began to talk, really talk. It turned out she had been disowned by her family too. Her parents had thrown her things on the porch in trash bags. Her church friends had abandoned her. Both of them were destroyed by a lie they couldn't disprove. Over the next few weeks, they pieced together what had happened. Every time they asked anyone where the rumor came from, the answer was the same. Everyone knows. It was as if the entire town had decided the story was true because it was more entertaining than the truth. "We can't stay here," Lily said one night over the phone. "They'll never let us live this down." Daniel agreed. He packed what little he had left, and by the end of the month he was gone. Lily moved to Chicago, and Daniel relocated to Seattle. They promised to stay in touch, but to live separate lives. "Maybe one day people will see the truth," she said softly. "And if not," he asked. "Then we'll just live our lives anyway," she replied. It was the first hopeful thing either of them had said in weeks. Seattle gave Daniel something he hadn't felt in a long time: peace. No one there knew his name, his past, or the story that had ruined him. He rented a small apartment downtown and focused on work. For months, he kept to himself. Slowly, he started to rebuild. He joined a gym, found a new coffee shop, and even began attending trivia nights at a local bar. Life was quiet until he met Anna. She was warm, funny, and nothing like the people back home. They met at a coworker's barbecue and ended up talking for hours about random things: bad drivers, favorite movies, silly jokes. For the first time in years, Daniel laughed without guilt. 3 dates later, he told her everything: the wedding, the rumors, the exile. He expected her to walk away. Instead, she just sighed and said, "That's awful, but you seem like a good man. Let's go get ice cream." And somehow, that simple kindness began to heal him. As months passed, Daniel began to feel normal again. His scars faded, both on his face and in his heart. Anna brought color back into his gray world. She made him laugh when he wanted to brood and dragged him out to try new things: farmers markets, weekend hikes, sushi restaurants where he couldn't pronounce half the menu. She never asked too much about his past, but when she did, she listened without judgment. Sometimes he caught himself watching her across the room and thinking how lucky he was to have met her after everything. "You're staring again," she would tease. "Sorry," he'd reply, grinning. "Just making sure you're real." Life, for the first time in years, didn't feel like a punishment. One evening, as they sat on the couch watching a crime documentary, Anna scrolled through her phone and said, "Hey, you know this girl? Lily? She follows one of my book clubs online. Daniel froze. Lily, he repeated quietly. Yeah, Anna said. She's in this true crime group.
Seems nice.
She comments on everything. It turned out that Anna and Lily shared the same hobby, mystery podcasts and crime novels. Soon, they began chatting online, unaware that fate was weaving them back together. When Anna mentioned it, Daniel hesitated, but then smiled faintly. She's an old friend, he said. Anna nodded, her intuition telling her not to dig too deep. Little did they know that this small connection would lead to something much bigger later. Over time, Daniel built a peaceful rhythm. He worked hard, hit the gym, and spent weekends exploring Seattle with Anna. His past remained a shadow, distant but not gone. Sometimes at night, he would wonder if his family ever thought of him. He missed his mother's cooking, his sister's laughter, and the chaos of Sunday dinners. But those memories belonged to another version of him, one that no longer existed. You ever think about going back? Anna once asked gently. Daniel shook his head. Back to what? They made their choice. Maybe they regret it, she said softly. Maybe, he admitted. But regret doesn't erase what they did. Then he smiled, forcing the heaviness away. Come on, let's order pizza before I get all emotional. Then, one summer afternoon in 2024, everything changed again. It started with a simple note. Anna had gone out for lunch, and when she returned, she found a white paper taped to their apartment door. It said, "We need to talk. I'll be back tonight." No name, no number, just those words. When she called Daniel at work, her voice trembled. "There's a note on the door," she said quickly. "I think it's for you." "A note? What kind of note?" "Just says someone wants to talk." "It's weird." Daniel felt a chill run through him. "Lock the door."
I'm coming home, he said.
She tried to laugh it off, but he could hear the tension in her voice. He left work early and drove straight home, his mind racing through all the people who might still hold a grudge. When he arrived, Anna was sitting on the couch clutching her old college softball bat. "You're ready for war?" he joked weakly. "If it's who I think it is," she replied. "Maybe." They stayed awake that night, half watching TV, half waiting for someone to knock. No one came. The next night was the same. But on the third night, just after dinner, there was a soft knock at the door. Daniel's stomach twisted. He looked through the peephole and froze. Standing outside was Ryan. His once proud cousin looked like a ghost of himself, unshaven, tired, eyes red and hollow. Daniel's heart pounded as he whispered, "It's him." Anna tightened her grip on the bat. "Do not open that door fully," she warned. Daniel unhooked the security chain slightly, leaving the door barely open. "What do you want?" he asked. Ryan's voice was hoarse. "I just need to talk." "Last time you said that, I ended up bleeding on the floor," Daniel replied coldly.
"Please, Dan."
"I know the truth now. Everything." Daniel's chest tightened. "What truth?" "About the wedding. About Lily. About all of it." Daniel stared at him, unsure whether to believe a word. "You had 5 years to talk," he said sharply. "You destroyed my life and vanished. Why now?" Ryan swallowed hard. "Because I finally found out what really happened." Daniel didn't open the door. "Then send it in an email," he said flatly and closed it. Behind the door, Ryan's voice broke. "Your mom wants to talk too. Please." But Daniel didn't answer. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay awake listening to the hum of the fridge, thinking about Ryan's sunken face. Anna turned toward him. "You okay?" she whispered. "I don't know," he said honestly. He looked broken. "You don't owe him anything," she reminded him. "He made his choice." "I know," Daniel murmured, "but part of me still wants to understand why." The next morning, Anna installed a Ring doorbell, just in case. She even called her brother, a police officer in Tacoma, to ask what could be done if Ryan returned. "You're safe now," she told him later, brushing her fingers through his hair. Daniel nodded, but deep down he knew something bigger was coming, and he was right. 2 days later, Daniel's phone buzzed with a message from a number he hadn't seen in 5 years.
"Mom."
He hesitated before opening it. The text said, "We know the truth now. Please come home." His chest tightened. He stared at the screen for a long time before replying, "I am home." Her response came quickly. "You know what I mean. We want to make things right." Daniel typed back, "What brought this on?" After a few minutes, her answer came, "Ryan told us everything. It wasn't you or Lily. We're so sorry." He sat on the edge of the bed, his hands trembling. Anna walked in. "Is it your mom?" she asked quietly. He nodded. They know the truth now. Later that night, as rain pattered against the windows, Daniel finally called his mother. Her voice cracked the moment she spoke. "Daniel, I don't know how to begin. We were wrong." "You think," he replied bitterly. 5 years too late, Mom." She started crying softly. "We didn't know. Ryan's ex-wife, Jessica, she admitted everything. She made it all up." Daniel froze. "Jessica? The girl from the gym?" "Yes," his mother said. "She told Ryan she'd seen you and Lily together. We believed her. We believed everything." He laughed bitterly. "So one woman's lie was worth more than my entire life?" His mother sniffled. "We were blinded. We thought he wouldn't ruin his own wedding without reason." "Well, congratulations," Daniel said quietly. "You all ruined mine instead." Then he hung up. The next morning, Daniel told Anna everything. She listened quietly, her face hardening as he spoke. "So all this," she said slowly, "was because some jealous woman couldn't handle rejection?" Daniel nodded. "Pretty much." Anna shook her head. "Unbelievable. Your whole family just believed her." "Without a question," he replied. She reached for his hand. "You don't owe them forgiveness." That night, Daniel called Lily. Her voice trembled when she heard him. "You heard too?" she asked. "Yeah," he said. "Jessica made it all up." Silence hung between them before Lily whispered, 5 years, Daniel. 5 years of being hated for nothing." "I know," he said. "I lost everything, too." "They want to apologize," she muttered. "Good for them. I'm not ready." Ryan sent him a long message later. Apologies, explanations, the works. Daniel read it twice before deleting it.
He didn't respond.
"You're not even curious?" Anna asked. "No," Daniel said. "I've already heard enough lies from him." But that night, lying in bed, he couldn't stop hearing Ryan's voice at the door, broken and guilty. Days passed. His mother kept texting, pleading for him to meet. "We just want to see you," she wrote. Daniel ignored it at first. But eventually he agreed, only if Lily would join via video call. "We faced them together," he told her.
"Deal," she said.
"But I'm not turning my camera on." The meeting was at a neutral cafe downtown. Daniel arrived early, sitting near the window. Soon his parents walked in, followed by Ryan and, shockingly, Jessica. She looked exhausted, guilt written all over her face. Daniel's chest tightened. "You've got to be kidding," he muttered. Jessica spoke first. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I was in love with Ryan. I made it all up because I thought if Lily was gone, he'd choose me." Daniel stared at her in disbelief. "You ruined 2 lives for that." She nodded, crying. Ryan looked down, ashamed. "I was stupid," he said. "I should have trusted you." "Yes," Daniel replied coldly. "You should have." His mother tried to hug him, but he stepped back. "Please, Daniel," she cried. "We were wrong." "You didn't even ask for proof," he said quietly. "You just believed the worst." His father's eyes filled with regret. "We failed you, son." "You did," Daniel said. "All of you did." Lily's voice came through the laptop speaker. "You threw me away based on gossip," she said calmly. "You left my things in garbage bags on the porch. Don't talk to me about forgiveness." Everyone went silent. Even Jessica couldn't look up. Daniel watched them squirm, feeling something close to peace. When the meeting ended, Daniel walked out without saying goodbye. The rain was falling softly, the city lights glowing on the wet pavement. Anna was waiting outside. "How did it go?" she asked. He took a deep breath. "It's over," he said. "Finally over." She smiled, slipped her hand into his, and whispered, "Then let's go home." Over the next few weeks, Daniel tried to settle back into normal life. His phone buzzed daily with messages from family members trying to make amends. His sister sent photos of her kids with captions like, "They miss their uncle." His father left long voicemails filled with regret. Even distant relatives who hadn't spoken to him in years reached out. Daniel read every message, but replied to none. "You don't owe them closure," Anna reminded him. "They took away your peace once. Don't give them another chance to do it." He nodded, knowing she was right. Yet some nights, he still caught himself scrolling through old family photos, remembering what life used to feel like before everything broke. Lily called often. She said her parents were now begging to visit her in Chicago. "They're trying to pretend nothing happened," she said bitterly. "Like we can just hit reset." Daniel sighed. "It's easier for them to move on than to face what they did." Lily laughed dryly. "Well, they can move on without me." Despite the anger, there was comfort in their friendship. They checked in on each other, shared small victories, and made dark jokes about surviving 5 years of chaos. It became their strange way of healing. Jessica and Ryan's marriage fell apart soon after the meeting. Lily heard through mutual friends that Ryan finally filed for divorce. "Guess karma still works," she texted Daniel. He didn't reply, not because he disagreed, but because he no longer cared. The whole story had exhausted him. There was no satisfaction in watching them crumble, only relief that he had survived. One evening, as he cooked pasta with Anna, she said, "You ever think about forgiving them?" Daniel stirred the sauce slowly. "Forgiveness isn't the same as trust. I can forgive and still keep them out of my life." Months passed peacefully. Daniel and Anna spent weekends exploring new restaurants, going on hikes, and binging crime documentaries. They laughed often, something he once thought he'd forgotten how to do. One Saturday morning, while they were at a farmer's market, Anna stopped to look at a ring vendor's table. Daniel watched her admire a silver band and thought, "This is the life I almost lost." That night, he opened his sock drawer, looked at the ring he had hidden for weeks, and smiled. The timing wasn't perfect, but the feeling was. He proposed the next month during a quiet walk by Lake Union. The sky was painted orange and pink, and Anna was mid-laugh when he suddenly knelt. "You're serious?" she gasped. "Completely," he said. Her eyes filled with tears. "After everything you've been through, you still believe in forever?" "Because you showed me it's possible," he replied. When she said yes, Daniel felt the weight of 5 painful years lift from his shoulders. Lily heard the news a few days later during one of their calls. "You're getting married?" she asked with genuine excitement. "Finally, something good happens to one of us." Daniel laughed. "You're doing fine too, Lily. Don't act like you're still cursed." She chuckled. "Chris treats me well. I'm happy. But promise me one thing." "What?" "Never invite your family to the wedding." Daniel grinned. "Deal." As his wedding plans moved forward, Daniel occasionally received new apology messages from old friends, even from people who had avoided him during the scandal. One message simply read, "We believed lies. I'm sorry." He didn't know how to respond. The past still hurt, but it no longer controlled him. He had built a new life, one made of honesty, peace, and love, not rumors and shame. Anna often told him, "You turned pain into purpose." And for once, he believed it. The day before their wedding, Daniel sat quietly on the balcony, looking out over the city that had given him a second chance. Anna joined him with 2 mugs of tea. "Nervous?" she asked. "A little," he said. "Not about us. Just about everything it took to get here." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "You deserve happiness, Daniel. You earned it." He smiled, holding her close. "I used to think I lost everything that day at the wedding. Turns out it led me right here." On their wedding day, Daniel didn't think of Ryan, Jessica, or the people who had turned their backs on him. He thought of survival, of rebuilding, of learning to trust again. As Anna walked toward him, every painful memory faded into the background. The lies that once defined his life no longer mattered. The people who doubted him were gone, but the ones who believed in him stood by his side. In that moment, Daniel realized something simple but powerful. Sometimes, being broken isn't the end. Sometimes, it's how you finally learn what wholeness truly means. After the wedding, Life settled into a beautiful rhythm. Daniel and Anna moved into a quiet house just outside the city, surrounded by tall trees and morning mist. Every sunrise felt like a promise that the past no longer held him hostage. He started cooking more, taking evening walks with Anna, and laughing at her terrible puns. Sometimes, he caught himself thinking about how everything began, the betrayal, the lies, the pain, and still couldn't believe how far he'd come. "You ever regret anything?" Anna asked once as they sipped coffee on the porch. He smiled softly. "Only that I didn't learn sooner who really deserved my trust." Lily visited Seattle a few months later. It was the first time they'd seen each other since their lives had fallen apart. When she stepped out of the taxi, Daniel froze for a second. She looked stronger, freer. They hugged tightly, a mix of sadness and gratitude between them. "You look happy," she said. "I am," he replied. "You?" "Getting there," she smiled. Over dinner, they talked about their new lives, about forgiveness, and how neither of them wanted to go back. "We built something new from ashes," Lily said quietly. "That's rare." The next morning, before she left, Lily handed him a small box. Inside was the old photo of the three of them, her, Ryan, and Daniel from their childhood. "Keep it," she said. "Not to remember the pain, but to remember who you were before it." Daniel stared at the picture for a long time after she left. The boy smiling in the photo had no idea what storms were coming, yet somehow, he survived them. He placed the photo on his desk, beside his wedding picture with Anna, a symbol of both loss and redemption. One day, Daniel received an unexpected letter from Ryan. "No excuses this time, just honesty. I've lost everything because of my choices," it read. "Jessica's gone. My friends don't trust me. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say I'm sorry again." Daniel folded the letter and set it aside. "Are you going to reply?" Anna asked. "Maybe someday," he said, "but not now." He had no anger left, just exhaustion. Some wounds didn't need reopening. Silence was sometimes the truest answer. The years went by quietly. Daniel's business grew, and Anna started her own small design studio. They found comfort in simplicity, movie nights, home-cooked meals, and spontaneous road trips. Every so often, Daniel's mother sent messages on holidays, short and polite. He replied with equal calm. The fire of resentment had burned out, leaving only distant embers. "You're finally at peace," Anna told him one night. He nodded. It took losing everything to find it. Lily married Chris 2 years later, in a small ceremony by Lake Michigan. Daniel and Anna watched the live stream from their living room, clapping and cheering as if they were there. "She deserves this," Anna whispered.
"So do you," Daniel said.
Lily later sent him a message that read, "We both made it out. Different cities, same peace." It made him smile. Sometimes, survival itself was victory. Whenever people asked about his family, Daniel no longer flinched. He'd simply say, "We took different roads." There was no bitterness in his tone, just acceptance. The town that once gossiped about him was now a memory, like a faded scar. He had stopped searching for apologies that would never be enough. Instead, he filled his days with gratitude. For love, for freedom, for the chance to start over. "You really think everything happens for a reason?" Anna once asked. "Not everything," he said. "But I think we can choose what we do with what happens." One rainy evening, Daniel stood by the window, watching droplets slide down the glass. His reflection looked older, calmer, wiser. He thought about the boy who once begged his parents to believe him, and the man he'd become, one who no longer needed their approval. "You okay?" Anna asked from the couch. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Just thinking how sometimes losing everyone was the best thing that ever happened to me." She smiled softly. "Then it was worth it." "Yeah," he whispered. "It was." In the end, Daniel realized that life had come full circle. The truth had cost him 5 years, but it gave him something priceless, clarity. He learned that blood isn't always loyalty, and family isn't always by birth. Sometimes, it's the people who stay when the world walks away. As he watched Anna laughing in the kitchen, the warmth of their home filling the air, Daniel finally understood. Happiness wasn't something to chase or prove. It was something to build, quietly, one honest day at a time. And in that peace, his story found its ending. Please like, comment, and subscribe.